Welcome to this edition of Inside Nci. I'm Dr. Rick Manrow with Nci's Office of Communications and Education, and my guest today is Dr. Crystal Makel, Chief of the Pediatric Oncology Branch in NCI's Center for Cancer Research. Welcome, Dr. Makel.
Thank you.
In recent decades, we've seen dramatic advances in cancer chemotherapy and radiation therapy. But we've also witnessed the emergence of biological therapies, including immunotherapy, which is the primary focus of your research. Will you please tell us about the research that's been conducted in your lab?
We've been trying to figure out how can we build upon the successes that have been made against childhood cancer by adding immunotherapy to our best standard therapies. Most of the treatments that we give to children with cancer, although they may shrink the tumor, they also are quite damaging to the immune system. And for people like me who believe that the immune system is one of our tools to fight cancer, you really want to mitigate that. You want to get the benefits of those therapies without the downside, the breakdown of the immune system. So my work has focused much on how do we rebuild that immune system? How do we rebuild it rapidly in a way that it can add to the anti-tumor effects of standard therapies?
Well, what other types of research are being conducted in the Pediatric Oncology Branch?
We focus primarily on those tumors where progress has not been made at the rate that has been occurring for some of the other tumors. And so we've also been very involved in research on sarcomas. We've been involved in developing new therapies that help to starve the sarcoma of some of the growth factors that it needs. Genetics and genomics are another huge area of interest in pediatric oncology. There are so many more tools now that are available to interrogate what the inner workings of the tumor cell are with regard to the genes that the tumor is using to survive and grow the way it does. We also study genetic cancer predisposition syndromes. There are some children who are born with a tendency to get cancer, but for whatever reason, they've inherited some genes that make them more susceptible to cancer. We study psychosocial issues as it pertains to childhood cancer, understanding how better to provide support for children and their families with cancer. We study a variety of rare tumors that can't be studied very well anywhere else because we are able to conduct very innovative clinical trials here in the clinical center.
Overall, we've made tremendous strides in recent decades in treating pediatric cancers in terms of long-term remissions and even cures. But that success has come with a price, hasn't it?
Absolutely, Rick. You hit on a very important point. About 75% of kids diagnosed today with cancer will ultimately be cured of their disease. And so that's something to be very proud of. Of course, that means 25% will not be, and that's our first and foremost challenge. But in addition to that, those children who are cured have paid an incredible price for the cure. The standard treatments that are currently administered and have been administered over the last few decades cause many long-term side effects, some of them irreversible, and some of them leading to really severe limitations in the quality of life. And we need to learn better ways to cure children of their cancer with less toxicity. And this is a huge challenge for our field.
Is there one area in pediatric cancer research that you can think of that we're poised to make major advances in knowledge in the near future?
There are at least two areas that I think are very promising. The first is genomics, and that is because the technologies that are now available are so robust. It's logarithmically increased what we can learn compared to what we could learn even 3 or 4 years ago with the same experiment because of our technologies. The other area that I really want to emphasize is the area of immunotherapy. And one of the things that we've done is actually collect a sample of the patient's own tumor and create a vaccine that can be used after the treatment is finished to educate the immune system to respond to whatever minimal residual disease might be present. You use the patient's own tumor to develop the vaccine. We would all like to see a day when the patient who's diagnosed with cancer, that we can direct the therapy specifically to what that patient needs.
Well, that's really interesting, Dr. Makel. Thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
If you'd like to learn more about NCI Center for Cancer Research and the Pediatric Oncology Branch, please visit the center's website at ccr.cancer.gov or NCI's main website at www.cancer.gov. For Inside NCI, I'm Dr. Rick Manrow.